Have you thought about where you wanted to be in life and have no direction? Well, you are in the right place. You are tuned into another epic episode of Triona the Trillionaire podcast with your spiritual health coach, Triona the Trillionaire. Become more aligned, enlightened, and abundant in all areas of your life. She got the hair care, she got the health, and she has the wealth topics for you.
Welcome back to the Triona the Trillionaire podcast, and I'm your lovely host, Triona the Trillionaire. So today we got on one of my special millionaires, young, talented entrepreneur, playwright, engineer, pioneer, author, owner of Journey Live Productions from Rock Island, Illinois. Give him a round of applause, everybody. Give him some snaps for Curtis B. Lewis the second. Curtis B. Lewis.
Oh, that is I.
Thank you for coming on the podcast. You're a big hit, I've heard. I've heard you're a big hit. You be on the news, you be in the paper. What don't you do? You a catalyst leader? I mean, wouldn't you say? Some say you the next Tyler Perry. I mean, well, he don't dress up in women's clothing, but you do offer mentorship from a bum called Mr. Ernest. But we're going to get into that. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Curtis. How you got started?
What up? My name is Curtis B. Lewis. About me, I'm a man of a few words. I started off doing plays in church, and that became a passion, through going to see plays from a program called Upper Bound. And when doing things in church, you start to see like, man, hold on, I actually enjoy doing this. We put on skits, basically the skits that were centered around the word of that week. And then, I remember a lady, she told me that I should go to school for it. Mm. So my thing I was focused on was wrestling. Of course, like every person who's good at the sport, you want to win a state championship. And I think like the only reason that I'll say that I didn't fulfill that is because of a little thing, but so big is fear. Fear stops a lot of us from, really performing at our best. But once I was able to once I became aware of what was my hindrance, because I worked, when I say I worked at it, I was very disciplined at the sport. It became easy for most. And I'll say it was easy for me, but I still had to put in that work ethic. But I think that the one thing, like I shared before, is the fear, which sometimes it seems small, but it's big. And the same thing with faith. It's small, but it can be big. So it depends like what you give it, what you feed to. You feed your fear, or you can feed more on faith. What I didn't know at the time was meditation. And I could share more of that later. But Curtis Lewis, playwright, actor, believer, man, a few words, but chosen, a father, husband.
You're also an author with your number one book, Fear Saved My Life. I did want to ask you about that. How was that like, writing and publishing your first book, self-publishing at that? How was that process, Fear Saved My Life? Because you have a few books.
It was a process, because once you never did anything, did something like that before, you don't know a lot about the formatting. But it was great. The process of formatting, then you have to scale it down, learning about the different engineers to push it to. What do you want to really share with the audience? Who is your audience? But I like playwriting more, to be honest. I don't care too much about
about writing your book? Because that was my next question. What is the difference between you writing and publishing your own book versus you writing and publishing, or like playwriting? I don't even know if I would call it writing and publishing your own play, but what is the difference?
There is a difference because the dialect, I believe you can express yourself more with playwriting because you're actually writing for, though you're writing for two audience, there's more back and forth and it's like freestyling. And I'm more, I feel I'm more great at the playwriting than going chapter to chapter with a book. There's no limits, there's no limits on the playwriting. You got your characters. It's the same way, but it's the formatting of how I just write and playwright, characterization, breaking it down, and it's like you're taking your audience on a journey through storytelling.
Okay.
But you do the same thing with a book, but I really enjoy playwriting way more. Now I'm able to express myself a whole lot more and discover like, no, it's way different from far as like writing for a stage and then writing for someone who's going to sit down and read your book.
Okay. So each character that crosses each other's path, they basically have their scene of their own. They have their own plot. They have their own. In a book, it's like one plot, one climax, and then beginning, middle, and end. In the plays, it's each character having their own expression on stage, engaging or personally with the audience.
Yeah, but it's the same way, like the climax you share, you still do that in plays, but you're able to see it quicker in the plays than in a book.
Okay.
It's like a character come in, you're feeling that person right away.
Right.
Versus in the book, it's you're reading along. It's still with the play. It's still the same, but I just think that I'm more free when it comes to playwriting.
Tell us about your experience when you are envisioning a character to the point where you actually get to cast this character, because you have to visualize a character to play this part, right? So what is that process like?
The process is, I'm very reserved. And I didn't realize that was a part of like a gift that I had, like discernment. And I didn't know it was a thing when it came to what I'm doing currently, writing plays. So I do a lot of observing people.
People watch.
People watch.
People
So
watch.
So I like how, when it comes to how people walk, how people talk, I do like a mental thing without knowing it, but I do know it at the same time. But I write every day. So I write every day. And by writing every day, like today, this morning, I wrote a scene. It's a character, Tackle. He's a teacher. He teaches 5th and 6th grade. But I'm doing him, I put him in a scene, and I got a character, a person who's already going to be playing him. So I started off playing that role. As time goes on, I want to work with people in the community so they can play roles that I've may have played before, and then bring more out of that character. Because I only see it from one lens. Even though I have this lens of like, dang, this character gonna be that way. But it's something when you hand it to someone else, like the character Timmy. I was gonna play that role, but I handed it to my brother-in-law, and I'm like, oh yeah, you gotta play Timmy. What? No, man, we about to switch it all up, man. You gotta play him.
Hey.
So it's a process. I say like one of the good habits I develop is just writing every day, and it's just building the character. Sometimes you put it aside, and then later you come and like, hold on, I remember I wrote something. Oh, let me go back to that. So you go back to it and then you revamp it. And then, you know, I guess that became my style of how I do it. So.
Okay, you keep saying that you're reserved, and a lot of people know that you are a silent killer type of person, like a silent person to the eye, but when you get on stage, it's like you have this whole big personality. So how do you even navigate when you are in that space? You're so reserved or you're so silent or shy, as people would say. Then you get on stage and they're like, I've never even heard him talk. How is that dynamic? Especially when people come up to you, shake your hand afterwards, because then they want to talk to you a lot. And it's like, I've seen you, you're still in character after, if you still, So just take us through the whole scene and the dynamic.
Um, I don't know.
I know that's a lot to unpack, but like people that
No,
know your whole life, you won't talk, and then you get on stage and you're like, I've never heard him talk, or I've never heard him say more than 3 words.
it's interesting. Like I always, it's like when you call to do something, you know that you call for it. I remember in the 5th grade, teacher, she comes in and say, hey, she have us write her name at the top, and then she had all these questions. And one of the big things, she said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I remember standing up. When she got to me, I wrote something very simple. What I seen. I think I said a garbage, someone who, what's it called? Waste management or something. But that wasn't what I said. But someone who collects garbage.
Truck driver, garbage. Yeah. Okay. I know what you're talking about. Yes.
And I remember saying that, but it's like this internal thing said, no. I remember like, it's crazy. And it said, no, like you gonna be on stages. I remember that. And you're gonna be able to speak in front of people. Because I always go back to the story of Moses. He had a stuttering. And he said, but I stutter, talking to, God. He said, nah, who said basically like, who said you stutter? Who said that you were called for less when I've created you to be more than just what you are? And I know that like every person, we call for something, but sometimes we allow the outside world to control who we're supposed to be. And I remember playing into that. Are you quiet? So I shunned down a little bit. Are you quiet? You don't speak a lot. And then one day a light bulb clicked, said, man, I'm just going to be confident in my quietness because I know that's where strength is. Mm-hmm. And I believe that's where, like when you see me on stage, that I put my soul, my being in it. Allow God. And I said, look, God, just, if it's your will, it will be done. And whoever life it touched, let it be so. So I'm just confident in who I am. And it's a process too, like leading towards that, because you do have to study the character and become that at that moment, but don't get lost in it. So that's why it's really important to meditate, because people do get lost in characters. You have to know who you are. You have to know yourself. You have to study you as a person. You can't just study roles and think that's who you are only. Mm-hmm. You have to study you extra. Like, okay, what do Curtis like? I like nature. I like to be outdoors. I like walking. Then these characters, they might like something completely different, but you have to play those roles in that moment. But when I get off stage, I let that go. And I become Curtis. I am Curtis, even on the stage, but you learn the traits of that person. If the person, smoking, talking in a different way, got a limp, you study all that. Mm-hmm. But you allow God to use you in that moment.
Mm.
And when you get off, like people like, man, how don't you talk? I said, man, I'm just me. Like, I don't know.
Because it's not like a shy character on stage. It's a very bold and big character that you're playing. And it's like you said, if they got a limp, you are really walking with a limp if you have this. So I'm looking
Hey,
like, because if I can get on stage, I'm probably going to be my same self and just say funny things that the character says. But like you say, you really got to come and study this character. And I probably just jumped on stage and not really studied the character and embodied something
mm,
that's within me. But this character is usually the characters are completely different. So people are like blown away, like, whoa.
you know, I remember when me and young, and I thought like in movies when people died, that they really died, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
I took that. My first year in college, I played. It's a play called Lesson Before Dying, and I played pretty much this guy who was accused of raping a white woman. Back in that time, they got executed, electric chair, and being in that, like you building up to that moment, and you taking on all that. But I remember every night before that, I'll meditate, or every like during the process before I'm walking on stage, I would sit there. Probably our call was to come in about an hour and a half, and I would sit there and just meditate the whole time I was there. And people were looking at me like, dang. But I remember that time he took me out, and it was deep. Like the first shook, boom, the audience. I could feel the whole audience. They like, and I didn't say anything. But that's why I know like God is in the midst of everything, and that's why you have to do your work on you. Don't get lost in the world ways of how everything's supposed to be ran. I'm still learning, I'm still growing. I'm still, God's still showing me what He want me to do in this vehicle of Journey Live production. But I know that it's going to be something very that the world needs, because the stories that we share, I don't be seeing them in this unique way. Uh, Plus, like you said, this is the way, everybody is called for something. And, if you make, say, bread, and if the other person make bread, they make it two different ways. So, you mentioned Tyler Perry. I'm inspired by Tyler Perry too, because he was able to take something and then continue to grow it in his way, because we all have our different ways of getting there. Uh, but I'm excited about this process. I trust in every moment, and I believe, I believe, I,
Man.
be, I believe in the vision. I believe in the people God surround me by, and the like-minded folks. Um, yeah, I'm excited.
Okay. Okay, let's go into your vision. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your vision, about Journey Live production?
I could share first where the vision of Journey Live came from. I was I was sleeping. Being in my mother crib. I was home for college. I think it was on a break, 2008, I believe. And when I was asleep, because I was getting a habit of, I have these vivid dreams, and if I didn't write them down right away, I'll lose it. So I started to do that. Okay, man, dang, that was deep. Let me write this down. So waking up one day, and like a voice said, "Journey Live." I
Mm.
didn't have I didn't have no, just the Journey Live. So I wrote that down. I said, man, that's gonna be the name of the theater company. And and then the production came later, but I said Journey Live Production. And think sometimes it takes someone to believe in you first before you can believe in yourself. Granddad, our grandfather, Elix Roberts, he said, "Oh, I got the theater." At that time, when you're young, you're not thinking like, what what you talking about? So, "Oh, I got that theater for you at the church."
Mm.
So he planted that seed in me very young, and then when it came time that I feel like I was ready for, it happened the way it's supposed to happen. One of our uncles reached out to me and he said that, "Man, but you got to take on this responsibility pretty much. Like, what should we do?" And, having a wife who, believes, she said, basically like follow that instinct. Like, you know what you're supposed to do. And so what I did is, I said, "Man, I think we should go out of town first." So we went to like a small cabin. We stayed there for like a week. And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do. Follow that vision, that purpose." But in between this, it's not always easy. The story of Job. God said, "I'm gonna build your faith."
Mm.
And the tests that came in between. So all the tests that came between, I feel like I was tested in so many rounds. But guess what? I have never let go of my faith in
Right.
God. Through everything, my relationships with my wife, my, the fire that happened. I said, "You know what? I believe in God. I believe in the process of where He's gonna take me and He's just building me. He's allowing me to let go of things that are not of Him. Um, dying to self every day. Boom. Die to this, die to this, die to this. And He's like rebuilding me to be stronger than I ever been before. I'm back."
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you, did you manifest the theater? Did you pray for it? How did the theater come about? But you already answered my next question that I was gonna ask you. It's
Yeah,
a historical
yeah,
building. You had the opportunity to get millions and millions of dollars from the building, and then you just, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you want to share that part of it.
yeah. People had made offers, but I'm like, man, it's not even about the money right now. It's about, I don't know. I believe 'cause when you believe in your vision, like no money can stop. Like you can come with a dollar sign. It don't it don't equivalent to the amount of lives you're gonna impact. That's what I look like. The bigger vision is not just right now. Is longevity.
Yes.
This is a marathon. It's not just a sprint. We are on a real journey. There's going to be tests in between. There's going to be a lot of excitement. That's going to happen. But this a marathon. Allow those success to continue to build up to more success and more success and more success. So I'm manifesting greatness. Like God, he came to me. That's what he told me to write down five sprinter vans. I'm like, what, he didn't say 3, he didn't say 2, he didn't say 1, he didn't say 10. He said 5,
Mm.
And I wrote it down. And it's crazy. One of my cousins said, "Man, here, he gave me the van." And I said, "Dang." And it's crazy how it happened though. Cause it's like a week later, he said, "Oh man, you can have that." I'm like, "Dang, that's one." You know what I'm saying? So the power of manifestation, you write your vision down, make it plain. Like all the stuff that we learned from growing up, like apply those things to your life.
Mm-hmm.
Don't, like I would say, don't worry about it. Don't worry about where you're supposed to land, where you're supposed to be. Just trust in yourself and believe in that. Believe in that thing that comes up that you want to tell other people, but right now it's not time to. You just have to continue to build on you work on yourself, work on your craft, work on your faith. Continue to be the best version you can be at that moment.
Mhm.
You know, if you have fear, watch it. Fear isn't a part of us. Love is the most powerful thing that there is. And then from love comes confidence. So what was your question? How do you manifest?
Hey, you're
Your
doing it.
theater.
Like, this is good. This is great. I am in tune. I'm listening. I'm taking all the gems. My ears, if they listening to this, if y'all didn't catch them gems, y'all need to push that rewind button. Okay. Y'all need to rewind 30 seconds back, 10, 10, 10, 30 seconds back, something like that. So y'all can catch all of these gems. Cause I'm getting deep into, okay, Habakkuk 2:2. All right. You said a part of our your manifestation.
Is listening to just listening, like for real. And I think that's one thing that I do very well is just listen to people, listen to my intuition, just listening. I really enjoy nature, going outside and being by like trees.
Mhm.
And then, people are like, man, what you doing? But I think like being around granddad, he like shared that with me,
Mhm.
like the energy you get from trees, because think about it. Trees were probably the longest thing that's been here thousands of years. So they know more about you. And they give you energy too. Give you life. They're like, dang, I'm going through this. Let me go outside and smell something.
Mhm.
So prayer, pray about it. Pray about your life every day. And when I was young too, keep saying when I was young, because I didn't know at the time, like angels. I asked God to send me 3 heavenly angels to guard me throughout my whole entire life. And
Wow.
I'll pray that prayer. And it's like everywhere I go, he sends like a mentor, someone to pour into me at the time, like going to college. You're away from your people. And I had like 3 mentors say out their mouth, I'm gonna be your mentor. I was a freshman. So
Mm.
like at that time, that was my 3 angels. So as I'm continuing, it's still the same. I pray that prayer over my family, my daughter, right when she came in the world. I was holding her right here, and I say that prayer. Lord, just had the same way you did for me. Send her 3 heavenly angels to guide her throughout her entire life. You
Wow.
know, so I believe in the power of prayer, of meditation, and just being a servant where you are at that moment. So
Servant leader.
yeah,
Oh, give it up,
yeah.
give it up, give it up. Let's give it some snaps. I'm gonna have to put some snaps in there this time. But you said some things that really stood out to me because I've like said this and stated this on the podcast before about me being so in tune with nature, and no one talks about manifestation and listening to your intuition, listening to your guidance system, listening to your inner being, listening to God, deposit those spiritual downloads into your mind, your body, and your heart so you can go and write it down. People are just like
Mm,
expecting like all these external things to really, grasp it onto instead of really looking at the internal. So I've never heard it explained like that. Maybe other people have caught it like that. But yeah,
mm,
go hug a tree, y'all. Like, go hug a tree. Stop being embarrassed about what other people are going to think, because you're going to get your strength and your power from nature. I love nature. I love nature. We're going to go to like the next segment. Well, whoa, before we go to the next segment,
mm.
I heard about Mr. Ernest, and I talked about this before when I introduced you. Mr. Ernest, Richie Rich. I love me some Richie Rich. I heard that Mr. Ernest is making a comeback. Can you tell people about Mr. Ernest, who he is, what is his favorite sayings and things like that? Like, where has he been? Where has Mr. Ernest been? We haven't seen him for a long time. Can you tell listeners about my ears about Mr. Ernest?
Hey, I'll just say he's back. No, I'll just say I'm doing something different that I don't know. It's like God. He always showed me to do those videos. It never left me. Like two things that never left, like do
Wait, who's
videos and
Mr.
going to
Ernest?
school. Mr. Ernest, he's both fictional and non-fictional character. I'll explain it a little. So the non-fiction is he's my he's our stepfather, step grandfather. So my grandfather, stepfather
Okay.
name. He wasn't homeless. He wasn't poor, but I used to go to my grandfather every week for like 10 years. So every weekend I would go to my grandfather's house, or when I was in college, I'll call him every weekend, and we study the word and we'll meditate, and then he always would share stories with me. So the storytelling became like my interest, and I think that what kept me engaged more, like continuing to show up. But I also was intrigued by like meditation. How can you meditate with your eye? How can you see? He would say, look at your belly button. And I would say, how can you look at your belly button if your eyes are closed? So long story short, Mr. Ernest, his stepfather, cat had these illustrations, these pictures. He couldn't read or he couldn't write, but he used these as metaphors to like life. And one, when he came, he said, and his stepfather's talked it different from the way I portrayed Mr. Ernest, the character. So he said, if you look in the big end, you go to the big end, you in a small, and you go to the small end, you in the big. It's two different tunnels. So you choose what tunnel you want to go through. So I use that and I say, that's the journey. If you go big in life, like going off to all these things and you losing yourself with it, you become smaller and smaller. But if you take every day going through the process of life, going through and then growing and growing, learn about yourself, you become bigger, and you become bigger.
Mhm.
But it's still your choice. What life do you want to choose?
Mm.
So I dressed up one day. I wrote a play, Beauty Inside and Out, in high school. And, the ladies, I started off writing I started writing when I started writing letters to myself, encouraging letters to myself
Oh,
every day from, I think I started like in sixth or seventh grade. I'll write letters, encouraging letters to myself. I dated day one and then dated. And then the crazy, I was looking at it the other day. I'm like, man, I still got these letters. And I was reading it. I'm like, dang, I wrote this. You
mm.
know,
Mm.
and, so from there, it became poetry. And then poetry became dialogue, between one or two people. And then I remember we had a family meeting at the Sisters Hair Salon. I think I was in 11th grade at the time in high school. And they said, oh, why don't you just write a play?
Mm.
I'm like, man, I'm not, I'm thinking like, how you write a play? But then I went to go see some plays in Upper Bound. So I kind of, and then we doing it in church. So I said, it can't be hard.
Right.
So I started it. I put it to piece it together. It was Preacher Man, three hairstylists, could that come from, seeing up what we seen when we growing up. We seen three hairstylists, our aunts, your mother, and but the blessing is that I was talking to your mom and said, man, I'm about to do this experiment. It's like, what you mean? I'm about to dress up as a homeless man, go out in the public. And I didn't know I didn't know who didn't had no name for it that day. But when I opened my mouth, I said, hey, hey, how's it going? My name is Mr. Ernest.
Right.
And I'm like, dang, it's crazy how it happened. Because I didn't have no name for the character. But when I opened my mouth that time, it said, that's why I know, like God, the spirit of God, the stories that I've been shared from when I was younger, like all that is and manifested, like we said, into being because it's stories that people need to hear. You know, going through the big end, you turn up small. Going through the small end, you end up big. Like those stories still need to be shared. And
Wow.
he on my heart, with my heart, he said, man, going to schools. So
Yes.
now I know that going to schools and connect with people. Why did he tell me 5 Sprinter vans? I don't know. I just wrote it down.
Mm.
And then now I'm connected. It's like I'm connected. God, he connects. I had a meeting with this girl yesterday. She's a dancer. And I said, I don't know what it is. I said, I don't even know where this is going, but it was a reason why things don't happen by coincidence.
Mhm.
So she's going to be doing an episode in one of the things that we're currently launching out. Another guy, he's about to, family. It's man. I know it's bigger than me, bigger than you, bigger than whoever watching and listening in.
Right.
But you must act on your what's that calling that's in you. Don't hold on to it. Your gift was given to you to give to others.
Amen.
You know, and they said, "Where's Mr. Ernest now?" He's here. You know, he's back. You know,
He's back. People been missing Mr. Ernest. They like, you don't think you can get information or wisdom, knowledge, inspiration from a poor old bum or
yeah,
an old man or old whatever he calls himself, I'm just a bum. And everybody like, this man got a lot of knowledge. He been through a lot. You can see God is in his life. You can just see the warmth of his heart. He's not going to hurt you. And I know some of those experiences probably turned left and south. Can you tell us about some of those experiences when you were portraying the character of Mr. Ernest?
oh yeah. We did it in Rock Island. I did it for an entire day, and if you knew who I was, you might laugh, but then some people was like inspired. They're like, "What's going on? Like, why aren't you breaking character?" It's crazy. I remember going to one of our cousins' house, and she was pregnant at the time. So I come in the back door, I'm knocking. I say, "Hey, is your mother home?" She said, "Oh yeah. Can you wait right here, sir?" And I think she was watching her siblings too. I said, "Hey, how's it going?" She said, "Oh, can you come? Can you wait outside, sir?" I'm following her in the house. I go in the house, and she's pregnant. She run outside, leave the other kids, go out the front door. They call the police, and
What?
I had left then, but they were they said the police were surrounded the whole block. I don't know. I never seen him before.
Mr. Ernest is about to be locked up in jail. What? This is real life.
Right, it was funny though. I didn't know that was you. Oh man, that was fun.
You crashed a family reunion before.
Oh yeah, that was. I said I didn't know what was going on because I thought Auntie, she was saying, "Can you do that for Mama, Big Mama?" And I thought she was calling me up at that time, but
Oh.
she, cause she was doing this with her hand, like, come on, it's your turn." So I'm thinking it's my turn to go.
Oh.
Nobody know who I was. I'm sitting up the top, just observing down. And no, I guess I thought everybody knew what was going on. And they said, "No, man." They said, "Man, the uncle's about to kill you, man. Man, what you doing?" And she didn't even know who I was. Yeah,
Oh no, she
I like her.
regret.
I said, "How did you know who I was?" But you asked for me to do that.
You got too much into character. You didn't break your voice. You don't sound the same. They don't hear you talking on a regular in a group or anything. Just conversating with, people is usually like by yourself. Not saying that you by yourself, but more so introverted. So you get out and you have this big personality telling these lessons and you speaking from experience like you really this old man, but you haven't even lived a quarter of this man's life. So you got all this wisdom and understanding,
I think that comes from just listening to people. Like you surround yourself with wise men, become wiser. And so I believe that that's where everything comes from. Just listening and then taking notes. Then you go back and you read your notes. Then you start reading like scriptures of the Bible, like Proverbs. And I'm big on Proverbs. Probably read it back and forth. Wisdom, knowledge, and surrounding yourself with those type of people who has that wisdom to share. So like all of it is like storytelling. It for me, it's what's needed. The lessons. Like when you told you great, I'm great. Like people aren't told that on a regular.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to pour. If you're not told that, you have to pour into yourself. You have to look in your mirror and say, I love you. I love you. I am great. I can do this. I am at peace. I know who I am. I'm confident. I'm manifesting greatness in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a trillionaire. I'm a millionaire. I'm a billionaire. I can do this. I'm a blessing to others. I will be a blessing. I will manifest this. I will have this vision will come alive. So believe in yourself. Like believe that you are more than what you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like on the surface. Like when God created you, he creates you to be original, unique, powerful. There's greatness within every person on this earth, but by looking at yourself, you're going to see that in others. You're going to see greatness in others. I don't care how low that person is. If the person on drugs, if the person have these demonic spirits attached to them, there's still greatness in that person. God didn't say, oh, I'm going to not choose you, but I'm going to choose him over here. Mm-hmm. No, he chose all of us. All of us don't go at that time, but as time moves forward, we do like, damn, hold on. And no matter where you've been, you have to share your story. If you've been through so much hell in life, you got to share that to people because someone been through that. And I know that's the power of like playwriting. I'm able to share stories that are unique that people can relate to, and they can see themselves within the play, or they can see someone that they know. Every time I do Beauty Inside and Out, people come in tears. And I'm like, I remember I took a break for her. But your mom, she encouraged me. Like, that's the play. That's the play to take on the road. Mm-hmm. So I wrote down, I will get a Tony Awards for a play. And I remember back in the day, I said, I'm going to put this play on Broadway. But it was a lady who spoke to me and said, I seen you getting the Tony Awards. So I wrote that down. I said, why'd she say that to me? She said it to me multiple times. Mm. And sometimes you're like, that's just a world that a man gives. But it was a reason why she said that. You know what I'm saying? Because everything is to give glory back to God, and that's what I'm learning like now. Just give glory to God. Everything you go through in life, give glory back to God. Give glory back to him. The trials that you face, give glory back to God. Acknowledge God. Amen. Give God all the glory. Uncle George, he said, you don't have to tell people that you are a believer. They'll just see it in your actions.
Absolutely.
They'll see it in how you come up. Of course, I play different type of roles, but people are like, man, you're going to get lost in the characters. I said, bro, certain people might, but I'm not worshiping these characters. You know what I'm saying? They're real characters, don't get me wrong, and I really portray them very well. But I think when I let them go, you know what I'm saying? and I'm me at that all the time. I'm me. But you got to take care of yourself. You have to take care of yourself.
Right.
Like when you call for more in life, you do have to take care of yourself. Like what you put in your mind, what you watching, who you surrounding yourself by. Like all that stuff is sensitive to your skin, to your how you show up. You can't just be around every person.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. I know I empty out everything. I give everything. I pour everything in. I couldn't do that same with wrestling, but I had to go through wrestling because it taught me the challenges of life. It gave me the discipline, the structure of how to do what I know God is calling me in this season right now. You know, we're powerful.
You talked about Sister's Hair Salon. You talked about my mother. You talked about Uncle George. You talked about meditation. And that's where I wanted to bring all of this in, was the sisters softball team, because you were one of the coaches. You did, have us all on the field teaching everybody meditation techniques. we talked about grounding ourselves, and we also talked about developing this into an actual movie. So people are eager to hear about this from the coaches. So I just wanted to come and create a whole new segment. This might be a 2-part series. I'm not really sure about how I'm gonna cut the video up, but tell us about your time as Coach Lewis on the sisters softball team. How did you become a coach? How did it start? What was you looking at us like? Like we were some bums on the field.
Hey, be honest, I don't know how I became a coach, because I like softball. It's not something I grew up thinking about. I think maybe Mari had came to me. It had to be him. I don't remember at the time. Tomorrow, I believe he came to me and said, help him out. Because my focus is not just your skills. You can be great at the technique of that to see it hard. Not going to be basically you're not going to see. And I realize if your heart not is in it, you will fail. You won't succeed. So it had to be more tomorrow. He came to me. I'm like, I don't remember though. It had to be tomorrow.
I believe so. From my memory, it was like he came.
I think I'm big like imagination. Albert Einstein, he said, imagination is the preview to life's coming attraction. And for me, wrestling, you have to win before you go out there. Mm-hmm. It's any preparation. If you prepare yourself, then you already won before you go out there. Mm-hmm. And I also learned that you never win or lose, you only improve. So it's 2 ways to how you look at it. Be great, but you have to prepare yourself before you go out there. So I at that time when y'all was, or I don't know who was in it, who in the community, but it was 1,000 females and males surrounded outside of the Douglas Park. And we had a practice, and I was practicing with y'all. We was doing technique, the mental. Y'all didn't have everybody was lined up with their no gloves, no bats. So everything all the bats was outside of the field. So the people came in, I said, don't worry about them. They're not going to come in. I said, we covered. Nobody came in. I said, but if we'd have went outside and everybody would have started focusing on them, of course they would have. But y'all didn't. Y'all kept practicing. And guess what happened? They all left. Mm-hmm. They left with some valuables, but that didn't matter. They didn't come on the field. They didn't come on the field. So that's the power of God. Like, you protect it.
Yes.
But if you start, hey, let me go over here and and join them. Oh yeah, you're going to be fighting, but he protected every person on that day. It was a lot of folks, man, so many. And I think that's one thing I really focus on is that the mental, like your mind, meditation with you all, like doing the shakedown 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That even became a part of. I said, dang. I learned that in theater. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Lay 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hand 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Body 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, look, leg 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Show 2, 3. Head 2, 3, 4. Body 2, 3, 4.
That was good.
So y'all warm up every day with that. I'm like, dang, that's crazy. Like that's so like just think about like the stuff that you learn from your life, you bring it and you help someone else in a way that you never knew people would, that will help people out. That something, but y'all made it to y'all. Y'all developed that. And I don't know, it was fun to see. And even like the movie that's gonna happen, it's gonna touch people's lives. Like that is powerful. And I already see it. Even though, we started to develop that years ago. Once I think I remember I interviewed you. I think I still had that interview too. I think you was in college that time or going into college.
Probably, yes. Probably going into.
I remember you had a pink, So, oh man, y'all should write a movie. I said, hey, now you see it's coming about though, because people went through their lives, and now you see that it's needed. And now you see that it's possible. Everything possible. So, hey, stay tuned in. Hey, that's gonna be a hit. That's gonna be a hit for you.
Yeah. Because when I think about it and think about all that we endured, the adversity that we faced, it was shooting and everything while we were playing on the field. Like while we were meditating, they were shooting outside. Like, what were we thinking? Should we have been in a house? Shooting up our house. Just crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Players get shot. Our player actually got shot. Like.
Yeah, but at the same time, she was covered though. All that stuff it happened, but it didn't break you. It didn't break the team spirit. Y'all still went out there and said, man, we got to do this one for Lady. And y'all went out there and y'all shine. So like those little things, they didn't break you because y'all was disciplined in that area. Yeah. Y'all learned the techniques in baseball, but your mental is at the same time. So all that, it was building up to something. So that even make y'all story even more powerful. Like, man, these Black women, or girls at the time, they all didn't have the structure of the baseball, but y'all had the structure in other sports. But y'all had people like mentors to pour into you all. Y'all have mothers who showed up, and then the neighborhood people showed up, and it was looking for y'all to see y'all win.
Right.
Y'all came victorious at the end. And to this day, y'all still victorious. Y'all still victorious. Whatever trials y'all going through personally in y'all life, y'all still winners. Yes. Y'all take that story and then y'all add to it. So all those lessons, then they're lessons to be learned, to move, to share with your daughter. And then she share with hers as she gets older. So it's like I love stories, man. Like story like this. This story right here.
This story right here. Let me show you something. Hold on. I have it right here. Look, I haven't shown anybody this. This is my daughter jersey. This is my daughter jersey. Hey, she was the champ. She was the champ last year, so you gotta play this sport. No, I'm making you. No, she wanted to play originally, but she kind of got a little bored of it because we didn't play that young. But
Oh, yeah.
one thing that I will take from what you said was when you said you don't win or lose, you just improved. That's when I really start carrying that with me, because if you think back at it, I used to be angry. Like, I am not about to lose. Losing is not fun to me. Losing is not. Everybody looking at me like, Triona is taking this so serious. Yes, I am. I am not a loser. I'm a winner. So people probably was like, dang, she's snapping on the coach or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, because we really got to practice, y'all. We can't just show up at a game in our minds all over the place, throwing the balls over our head.
And one thing I even say about, like you mentioned Tamar, and then even Francis, like, you don't even know that what they did for them, people lives. Like Francis, I think I'm saying his name right.
I
Francis,
call him friend. I call him friend.
friend.
It might be Francis. I'm not
Like,
sure.
even like the scene in his life afterwards, man, what it did for him. And that's how you know it's a powerful story. Even for Tamar, like what it did for him. Like he's in his professional career, but that memory still it's a memory that you can't erase. You took these girls who come from a background of not knowing softball and you build them. But in reverse, it build the coaches too. Because the coaches, as much as they believe in you, they start like, man, wow. And I want to learn more about Francis' story too. Like, what's his upbringing? Because why did with his daughter, Felicia, like, how did that become a desire of him wanting to coach? Regardless of his background, of what he went through, because even like when I seen him
He
before he
showed up.
passed,
Yeah.
man, before he passed, he was still like he remembered him, like, hey man, hey, how you doing? Hey,
Yeah.
man, I go back on this.
He's gonna get on the roof. He about to take somebody to somebody's house. He's be so mad at Fred. You don't change your clothes, like, stop coming in the Daisy Dukes in the t-shirt with paint on it. Like, we need, like, I wasn't mad about his presentation so much. I was mad about us losing, and he didn't understand that. He like, well, but at the end, he loved me. I loved him. He knew I was like the best. Like, I didn't mean no harm by it. He didn't mean no harm by it. But to think that he really still showed up for his daughter, he jumped off a roof and he's still there at the field. Like, he on time and everything. And I'm like, my mama is going to be late. My mom got 6 heads to do. 7th might be waiting. She telling me, start walking. My mom like, start walking. I'm gonna be there. I'm at the shop. I'm at Sisters. But when I think back on it, all of us are entrepreneurs. Even Felicia. Yes, she still has a 9-to-5 or whatever. Yes, like, some of us still work, but each one of us are entrepreneurs in our side businesses, our side hustles, our businesses that we're trying to create. And my mom had us being that as how old were we? 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade? Like, nobody gets that introduction into entrepreneurship. There are grown people like, I can't figure this thing out. We were selling tickets. We had our own jerseys. The name of the jerseys is the same name as Sister's Hair Salon, so you can literally see the logo on the shirt and go get your hair done. That's free advertisement out of all these games that people are coming to. So it's crazy. I mean, I'm gonna get everyone's story as well. Like, Jamaica, Lady, they are hairstyle. They braid hair. They got their shops going. Big Tree, she sells clothing and she does her lip gloss and stuff like that. I do fitness and I have a fitness app. And Jassity, she's an artist. Like, she's really an artist. I'm like, girl, you got to do something with this talent. Like, every single person has a talent. Paris, my sister, she makes toothpaste and sells toothpaste, and she's a psychologist. So it's like everybody has these, ambitions, goals, and dreams, visions. So, and hopefully in the near future, we can all put on our resume, we are all actresses. actors and actresses in a big movie.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen, Captain.
So what was like, I got a few more questions for you. What was the most impactful, the most monumental part of the season for you? Like, what's something that you remember like from the entire season that just sticks out to you? That's like, yeah, you should really put it in that.
I think I shared it kind of, before, how you all still showed up. I'm walking through inside grandma house, and everybody, everyone inside, one of the cousins ran into the back. I said, man, what you doing with that? I ain't gonna say what it was, but I think, when you think about that, and then but how you guys continue to go after, because it could have been easily, you know, made people go their separate ways, but y'all came together even stronger,
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe she showed up to the game after. She didn't play, but she showed up. So it just showed you through perseverance, through obstacles, y'all still showed up, and I think that was a moment, and I believe y'all became victorious after that. Y'all kept winning even more, but to show y'all didn't
Yeah,
give up.
like you can't break
So
us down. We're gonna keep winning now. Like, and
yeah,
it was getting tougher and tougher because the girls were really good. And it's like coming from not playing at all to it's like these people scared to play us. And
yeah, and I just learned from y'all that the podcast you did with Lady and Jamaica. I didn't know that y'all were going through all that in school.
yeah.
So that even shows more of
Mm-hmm.
like, dang, how grown people picking on kids, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And but y'all still showed up, and y'all still became victorious. Y'all didn't allow these obstacles on the outside to hinder you. Y'all still showed up, y'all game, still having fun.
Mm-hmm.
That had to be another thing. Like, man, this, I never was a person who like baseball and stuff, but with those games, every game was exciting.
Our
Every
games
game.
was lit. Like we was turned. Like they had the music out. I mean, if you had like a sold out stadium, it's like we had the sold out softball field, but that you didn't have to pay for. So I'm like, I always say we really brought the community together. Like to the point we had the real pro softball league trying to get they one with us. Like run me by one. You know how people say that? Like, let me verse you or whatever. Let me go against you or whatever. So yeah, we did, looking back at it, it's like that's something we gotta face. And I will say I had a lot of pent up anger, but when we did the shake it out, because I did that and I took it to track too. And I start doing it before you know. I used to meditate and pray before I got to the line because I'm about to hit. Look, I'm knocking over the fence every single time. What you mean? They're like, oh my, they scared for me to get up there. Yeah, hey, pitch to me nice. Pitch to me nice. Watch this. They try to walk me and all type of stuff. I'm gonna hit it. Just like my daughter, she like, I'm swinging at every single one. I'm like, let's go. Like, let's go. Hit it and make it count. I don't care. Once your ball connect to that bat.
For real.
Because I ain't grow up watching people play softball. Like softball, you can't get no money from that sport. That I'm thinking like that as a little kid. Like track, yeah, you can get endorsements and stuff like that. They made it a little better now with the NIL deals going on and stuff like that. But anyways, the meditation definitely helped my life out. You already know, because I would have probably been, look, they call me Shoto Junior. Shoto Junior. People can't imagine that I was like that though when I was younger. Like, I don't even know, because I still was like spiritual, but I was still like, I don't know. I was competitive, I would say. I was competitive.
Yeah, that edge. We all have it though. That edge where, certain things where it do pull out the best of you. Some people look at it as anger, but it's just fire that's burning. That you 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 gotta have that in life. You
Mhm.
know, can't can't be timid. You just gotta show up. But show up when you show up, you gotta give it your all.
Mhm.
And that's what y'all did. Y'all gave it y'all all, regardless of what y'all was going through. Y'all gave it y'all all, and y'all became, at the end of the day, victorious. Victory. Do, do.
Look, even like Victory is Mine, like songs like that from church, we will really be singing those on the field, and they've been looking like, what are they singing? That's not a softball chant. Like, we're making up our own chants. Shake the devil off. Like, I remember, and tell me if you remember this same thing, but I remember like the opponents, their parents, the coaches being very racist to us, to the point where we're like, shake the devil off in the name of Jesus, shake the devil off. And they like, what? Put them under my feet. Did you have that same experience, or was you just was null and void, or you just did you see that? Because you said you didn't know that we were experiencing this in school. Did you
That's how. I mean, you see that. I mean, you do see that, but it's like, why let allow people break you? And I think that's like one thing that I share with you all. Don't focus on the outside.
Mhm.
Don't buy into that. Let people let that let your action show how great you are. You don't gotta scream it. It's the same way with God. We don't have to scream and say, I believe in God. Let your action show. Let your action show that you are a person of love, that you care about people, that you're genuine. Like, let your action show how great you are. Like, that's what y'all did. I mean, y'all was probably facing it way more because I wasn't in those environments where you all were.
Mhm.
When it comes to the school and people picking on y'all, I wasn't in those environments, but y'all were. Y'all probably was getting hit so much because y'all were beating out the best teams on the fields.
Mhm.
Those parents invested in their kids, and how these girls come from nowhere, all black girls, majority all black girls on one squad in front of beating at a sport where do these girls come from? Yeah, they're gonna try to break you.
Yeah.
Why won't they? It's it's the world that we live in. It's gonna always be that. But it's how you show up every day. Like, when you're going after your greatness, it's gonna always be something that taunt at you. And then grandfather, he told us it's the petty tyrant. So
Yeah.
you learn how to allow people to pick on you. I mean, you don't allow it, but you don't feed into it.
Mhm.
Love them, love them from afar. You don't even have to question their. You see it.
Mhm.
I'm gonna love them. But guess what? Guess what happens? That person eventually comes back around and said, "I'm sorry," or they just start loving you. Like,
Mhm.
man. And most time people don't know they're doing it. You know, that's what's interesting. People don't know that they're doing it. Sometimes you can bring it up to that person, like, man, you taunting me. Then sometimes you just don't have to.
Mhm.
Eventually, they reverse the role of becoming like your best friend. You like, that's kind of interesting. But that's one thing I learned is just, in the face of adversity, you can either give, you can either give, can feed into that, or you can reverse it. Like, I'm gonna allow those challenges to make me better. And I think that's what you all did.
Yeah.
So keep,
I
yep,
re-
yep.
I remember this one lady. I feel like she knew what she was doing, and then when the first year of that season ended, she was like, "You guys are going to be the team to beat." I hate to say this, but you guys are going to be the team to beat next year. And I was like, "Whoa!" Coming from her, it was like a compliment plus like a slap in the face. It was like a real oxymoron because she knew she was being a certain type of way to us, and she was
Mm.
just like, I have to admit it, like really came and like apologized to her. She was just like, I was, she knew how she was being. And like you said, you just continue to be you, and hey, the rest is gonna happen.
Sure.
Yeah, so what advice would you give my heirs that they're watching this, they're listening to this? What advice would you give them out of all we, discussed here on the podcast? Or what would you like to leave with them, I should say?
I'll just say believe in your story. The things that you went through, the challenges that you faced, that's your story. You don't have to dumb it down. You don't have to make it all crystal and this life that the world painted for you, but use those errors and reverse them.
Mm-hmm.
Like share that, when time is ready. But the most important, like, it's your story, and your story shall be shared. Someone needs to hear your story. Same with your gift. Whatever your gift is, don't just keep it unwrapped. Unwrap it. Don't keep it just hidden. So trust in the journey. You are, and know that you're great, because you are great. You're great, and tell yourself that I'm great. There's a story within me, and the time is now. So,
okay, where can my followers? Well, where can my heirs follow you?
We at Journey Live Production. We are on the journey. We are live, and you are the production. So, when you follow us, don't just think you following us. We're doing it. We're connecting together.
Okay.
And you can connect with us. Like we're interested in hearing your story, but in a creative way. And we do it in a creative way at Journey Live. So yeah, we at Journey Live Production on all platforms, Instagram, Facebook. I just opened a TikTok. I sure don't know how to work that thing yet. But on TikTok it is at Where's Mr. Ernest?
Okay. I'll be sure to link those in the show notes. Y'all be tuned in and share with 3 friends that you feel like is going to enjoy this podcast. So if you're listening to this podcast, know that you're blessed and continue to be a blessing to others.